Internet-ready resumes, resume formats, how to create them and how to use them in your internet job search. If you find this video helpful, please visit the Distinctive Documents website at www.distinctiveweb.com. Email resumes, scannable resumes, keyword resumes, text resumes, ASCII resumes, PDF resumes, Word resumes, traditional resumes. A resume is a resume, right? But then, what are all these different types of resumes that you keep hearing about? If you're confused and not quite sure what is being referred to when you hear all these different names for resumes, you're certainly not alone. What are the different types of electronic resumes? What are the differences between an email resume, a scannable resume, and a keyword resume? How do I know which format to use? How do I format my electronic resume to ensure that the recipient can read it? No wonder there's so much confusion. In not too many years, there has been a complete revolution in the tools and techniques of job hunting. As applicant tracking technologies have come into common use among headhunter firms, large corporations, and even mid-size and small businesses, recommended resume formats and methods of submission have rapidly evolved. What does this mean for today's job hunter? While the Internet has opened unprecedented doors of opportunity in the job search process, for those who have not taken the time to learn and apply the rules, it can mean disaster. While few job hunters have time to spend months studying the most recent technologies and recommendations for the creation of electronic resumes, before venturing onto the Internet with your resume, it's critical that you take the time to learn and understand a few simple concepts. Knowing your audience and the formats most acceptable by those audiences are essential pieces of knowledge for the Internet job hunter. First, let's talk about the human reader. The traditional printed hard copy resume, and yes, it does still have a primary place in job hunting, is created to attract the human eye and attention. With the advantages of word processing applications, for example Microsoft Word, which is the standard for business, sophisticated formatting is possible and should be applied strategically to create eye appeal and draw the reader's attention to key qualifications. Now let's talk about the computer reader. The electronic or computer-optimized resume is designed first and foremost to be readable by the computer. There are several types of electronic resumes, but the most common element of all is the ability to be searched by keyword. Of course, once your resume has been tagged as matching a keyword search, it will be reviewed by a human. So compelling, easy-to-read content is just as important in the electronic resume as in the traditional resume. Miss these points and the effects could be devastating. You could send out your resume to hundreds only to sit at home and wonder why nobody, not even one company or headhunter, has called you for an interview. There are fundamental formatting differences between traditional and electronic resumes. If you don't understand these differences, your resume will make it into very few, if any, resume databases. What are the differences between keyword, scannable, traditional, and text resumes? On your screen right now is an example of a traditional resume. Traditional resumes are designed, as already noted, to compel the human reader, through persuasive language and design, to take further action and call you for an interview. Layout and page design are critical and should be planned strategically to draw the eye to areas of emphasis. The most effective traditional resumes are focused on achievements and written in powerful, active language that captures and holds the reader's attention. Scannable resumes, which are also a printed hard copy format, are designed primarily for accurate scanning into a computer. Captured as an image, scannable resumes are fed through OCR software that reads and extracts the text. The extracted text is databased for storage and later recalled by keyword from an applicant tracking system. Scannable resumes are very rarely requested anymore. If you're asked for a scannable resume, the most efficient option is to email the requester your plain ASCII text resume. I'm going to describe that next, but you can see an example of a plain ASCII text resume on your screen right now. Okay, now text resumes, which are also referred to as ASCII resumes, are just what the name implies, an ASCII formatted version of either your traditional or scannable resume. Text resumes are universally readable on all computer systems and platforms and are the preferred format when you're emailing your resume. An ASCII resume received in email can be entered directly into an applicant tracking system without the added step of needing to scan it. Entry into the system is fast, easy, and accurate, and so many employers and recruiters prefer this format. The phrase keyword resume, as it was first used, referred most often to either a scannable or text resume that incorporated a focus on nouns and phrases that employers were likely to use when searching for an applicant. Sometimes the keyword resume had a section at the beginning or the end that listed the keywords separated by commas or periods. Today, there really is no need to maintain both a keyword and a non-keyword resume. Keywords have become such an essential element in resumes that you should ensure that every version of your resume, whether it's meant for the human or the computer reader, incorporates the keywords most important in your field or industry. You can see an illustration of this on your screen now. This is the first page of another example traditional resume. And it's literally loaded with keywords. Still confused? My recommendation is to simply maintain two separate versions of your resume. The first would be the traditional resume. If you wish to send a hard copy paper version of your resume, you should send your traditional resume. Traditional resumes are most often stored on your computer as a computer file and printed on an as-needed basis. For example, you'll want to print at least several copies of your resume to carry with you and hand out at interviews. You may also be asked to send your traditional resume via email to a recruiter or an employer. In these cases, you should have your traditional resume saved in the two most commonly asked for file formats, MS Word, Microsoft Word, and Adobe PDF. These would be a .doc and a .pdf format. You can then attach the requested file or files to an email message and send it to the requester to be printed on the receiving end. By far, you'll find that the most requested format for your traditional resume is Microsoft Word. If you comply with the request, be aware that your formatting may be incompatible with the recipient's system. While usually still readable, fonts and bullet sizes and styles may be different from what you intended. These problems can be minimized, although not always eliminated, by embedding the fonts into the document. This is a simple process that I'll illustrate to you right now. Okay. Let's open up a Microsoft Word resume. Here we go. Okay, and now this is Microsoft Word 2010. If you have an earlier version of Microsoft Word or a different version of Microsoft Word, just use the help file and it will guide you through this process. But this is the basic process. You go into File, and then down here to Options, and then to Save, and then you embed the fonts in the file. And this will help it to be more compatible on other systems. The only downside to this is that it makes the file much larger than it would have been without the fonts embedded. But this is a good way to ensure that it will be more compatible. Okay, and so then you'd click OK. For now, I'm going to click Cancel. Okay, you should also take care while writing and designing your resume to use design elements that are default and standard on most systems. For example, it's not wise to use a fancy custom font on your resume that you know will be emailed. Default fonts such as Garamond, Helvetica, Book Antica, or Verdana are better choices. This particular resume uses Bookman Old Style, which is a default on most systems, and it uses just plain square default bullets as the bullets. So this will appear, and it should appear pretty consistently across systems. Even though I've used some advanced design techniques such as bolding and tables to lay it out, and some graphic lines. Okay. Now, let's go back. Now the ASCII text resume would be the second one that you want to keep. If you conduct any portion of your job search on the internet, ASCII formatted resumes are critically important tools. You always should have an up-to-date ASCII text version of your resume on your computer. This is the fastest way to contact potential employers and to apply for jobs advertised online. You must also have a text version of your resume if you wish to post in online resume data banks. Okay, so now the question is, how do you prepare the ASCII text version of your resume? How do you create one? Preparing one isn't difficult, but it does require a learning curve. Once it's converted to the ASCII format, you'll be able to email your resume in response to an ad or paste it directly into web-based forms and submit it to Internet Resume Data Banks. Now, the specific directions will vary depending on the software that you have installed on your computer. But I'm going to show you the basic steps to create an ASCII resume out of your Word resume using Microsoft Word 2010. Alright, so here we've pulled up the Word version of a resume. It's a 2-page resume, and as you can see, it does include some fancy formatting using tables and things like that. So that wouldn't convert very well if we're trying to paste it into an email or anything like that. So we have to create an ASCII version. So what you do is this: you go over to File, Save As, and then you want to pull down this box, Save as Type, Plain Text. Now click Save. Yes, I want to replace the file. Okay, now leave everything to default. It should be Windows default. Insert line break should be unchecked, and then just click Allow Character Substitution and click Yes. Okay, now we're going to close this out because